Welcome, everyone. This is Coach Neshi with Shooting School Basketball, and you are watching Meet Your College Hoops Coach. We speak with college coaches and talk with them about their program, their school, and themselves. Today, we are fortunate to have with us Coach Tom Spanbauer, the head coach at SUNY Cortland. Coach has just completed his 25th year as head coach at Cortland. Coach has also just completed his 9th straight season of winning basketball. Tremendous accomplishment. Coach, good morning and welcome.
Welcome, Coach, and thanks for having me on.
Coach, I want to start off by saying the 25 years is so impressive. I've been someone who was also fortunate to have a long tenure at an institution, and it came a time where as the years kind of rolled one into another, and I would be speaking to recruits and their parents, and they would say, well, how many years, Coach? And then how many years overall, because I was the assistant there. And you were as well, weren't you, Coach?
Yes, correct. At one time, yes.
I remember when you were a young assistant. Now you're a young head coach. But they would ask me, and I would tell them how many years, and it got to the point where I felt the need to try to make myself a little younger. So I would say, I started as an assistant at NYU in 1984, and I was the youngest assistant coach in history. I was 10 years old. And they would pause for a second and then understand that basically I was trying to make myself younger than I was, Coach. So I think, Coach, with your success, I think you're on the road to something like that. So great to see, Coach, that you had such a great tenure, and we followed your program, and certainly we've had the pleasure of competing against your teams.
Yes.
Certainly was a great thing for us, and it made us better in those years. But Coach, could you give us kind of an overview of Cortland? Sure.
But before that, I would say that when you retired, I moved one slot up in New York, and for longest tenured at one school, because you were ahead of me, and I think you did 20 as a head. You were 30 years, correct? So you were number 3. Jim Boeheim's number 1 at Syracuse. Bob McVean is number 2. Who was still coaching. You were number 3 at one institution.
Wow, I didn't know that, Coach. That's an awesome fact to be aware of. I mean, I guess if I gave it some thought, I certainly would have thought of Coach Boeheim. And then like Bob. How many years is it for Bob?
Bob he's at 34, I think, right now.
Wow, that's awesome.
And now that it jumps to me, which next year will be 26. But when you left, I moved up a slot.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's a great thing.
Yeah. But no, Cortland is just a great educational institution. Obviously, we have a rich tradition academically and athletically. We're one of the most respected, comprehensive athletic programs in the country. Across the board, our teams are just competitive, at the local level in the league. And then, of course, we have several programs that have won national championships. We've had several individual athletes win national championships. So the depth of our athletics program is out there. People are aware of it. Our institution supports athletics as an integral part of the educational mission for our student athletes. It's just we've been fortunate that we have some majors that have been added to our campus that are majors consistent with the landscape of what our society is asking for. Of course, we've had our traditional majors that have built regional and national strong reputations with the quality of the major and it's provided our graduates with opportunities to be hired as soon as they finish their careers.
Yeah, so important, Coach, in today's world, no doubt. Coach, what would be some of the more popular majors?
Well, right now, of course, education is back on the upswing. And at one point, when college was first established, it was Cortland Teachers College.
Right.
So obviously, we were put on the map preparing teachers, and that hasn't changed. We're still one of the finest institutions. All of our national rankings and statewide rankings for our teacher certification programs put us right up at the top with the best. So our elementary education programs, our secondary ed programs, of course, our physical education program, all those teacher certification majors are our foundation bricks for our campus. But along with that, we've got a couple majors that have come on to the forefront, and kinesiology has become very popular. And kinesiology is a pretty broad-based degree that involves students that want to be involved with the science of movement, the physiology of movement. A lot of our students will go into that major and end up moving into athletic training careers, end up moving into physical therapy careers. They move into radiology. So it's a real science-based degree. We also have a lot of students that come out of that major and are involved with personal fitness training, which, as I'm sure you know, the fitness side of training athletes is there's a market out there now for that. And,
yes.
So we have a lot of students that go that route. So that's one of the majors that has become popular in the last 10 years. And then we have sport management. And this sport management major has really taken off, and it's a popular major for students coming out of high school. Same thing, it provides a lot of opportunities for students to go in a lot of different directions, from a business side or a management side of sport, ticket office sales, promotions of events, the actual event management side of running an event. So sport has become so corporate, sport has become so publicized that there are opportunities out there for our students in those majors. A lot of our students in those majors will start with internships with professional organizations, minor league baseball systems, Division I college programs in their athletics department, and not coaching capacity, but there's so many other capacities that are parts of an athletic program at this point. So those two are the two that have really risen to the surface recently. We also have added a healthcare administration major, and that's become very popular. As we all know, just looking at this pandemic, that healthcare administration is something that's not going to be going away. So it's become popular, and it's preparing people to go out and help administer the healthcare field and monitor healthcare systems and administer and assist with providing the proper healthcare, and of course the proper billing. So that's a popular one as well.
Yeah. Coach, then as regards to your recruiting, and you guys compete in the very, very competitive SUNY conference.
Yeah.
And I would imagine to some degree there is some recruitment that you're doing against other SUNY schools as regards to looking at the same players. What might set Cortland apart from in recruiting? What uniqueness might there be about Cortland, Coach, in the recruiting process that you can make communicate to the young men that you're interested in?
Well, the one thing that I always try to promote is the culture of our campus. I always say that we're a family-friendly, people-friendly campus. And I don't know if that's a byproduct of, we have close to 50% of our majors are involved with teacher certification programs.
Okay.
So they're individuals that want to work with people. They've got good personalities. They're energetic.
Great point.
So I really promote the culture of our campus, and it's a people-friendly campus. And then we have, fortunately, the physical side of our campus. We have something that no other SUNY campus has, including the Division I campuses. We have a freestanding student life center, and it's a student life center, which is a $58 million building that was built 4 years ago. It just thrives with energy. You walk into the building and it's just got energy. It's uplifting. It's got all the newest. It's a large fitness center. It's got large exercise rooms. It's got study lounges. It's got a dining area, and it's become the hub of our campus. And students walk onto our campus and they get into that building, and they're really, the wow factor takes effect. And so that, of course, is something that we promote as well. And that also enhances the culture of our campus. We're a very active campus. We have 24 intercollegiate sports, over 700 student athletes. But we have a very comprehensive club sport program as well. Our recreational program is very comprehensive. So most of our students are involved in either intramurals or intercollegiate athletics. So we're a real active campus. And if you walk around, you'll see that right away.
Right. I think in everything that you've said, Coach, as longtime coaches, I know we fall on the same side, where in recruiting, I think one of the big things for success for us is getting the recruits to make overnight visits, have an extended visit with us, so they can really get a feel for what you're talking about as regards to the strengths of the campus and the type of students that they will be interacting with. So I totally see where you're coming from, and it sounds like a great opportunity for kids to come and take a look as regards to, what Cortland provides. I know that I always felt if we could get our top kids to visit, it put us in obviously a much better position for success.
Coach, I couldn't agree with you more. We typically, if we can get someone to our campus and get them, in the overnight setting and just being around the camp and feeling the culture and feeling the energy, they many times will end up making a decision to attend. So that's a big part of that process.
Yeah. Coach, what would be maybe some of the bigger challenges in recruiting that you would face?
Actually, it's quite interesting. I always mention this one. We're stuck smack in the middle of New York State. So we're maybe the most central SUNY 4-year comprehensive campus. Eliminate the SUNY centers, and we're the one that's most centrally located. So that's obviously, people go, oh, well, that's great because you're right in the middle. It is great that we're right in the middle, but where maybe sometimes becomes a challenge for us, and I wouldn't say it's negative, is that it requires us to be very, very accurate with where we want to go spend our time, because we're ultimately, 3 hours from Buffalo. We're 3 hours from Albany. We're 4 hours from downtown Manhattan. We're 4.5 hours from Long Island. So we're essentially the same distance to a lot of the areas that will yield players. And it's important that we do, as I mentioned, we make a concerted effort at really doing our homework and spending our time on the road where we feel it's going to be most valuable.
Yeah, great. I never looked at it from that vantage point. Coach, if you want, I can make a call and try to help you get another assistant coach, because it sounds like you need is another guy on the road.
Yeah, well, you need the foot soldiers. They're always important. And yeah,
that for your recruiting then, Coach, and it's that's an interesting point as regards to the location, and it gives you a lot of options, but then you have to strategize. I certainly I understand where you're coming from with that. As regards to strategizing, Coach, and when you're looking at players, talk to us about what for you would be considered a quality player, based on a player's skills and abilities. What is it that you are looking for?
Well, when we look at a student athlete, and we, number one, we try to have gone to we won't bring anyone to our campus unless they've applied. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that I've learned over the years is I spent a lot of wasted breath in the recruiting process with students that said they were interested, and they never ended up submitting applications. So one thing that we do is we pretty much have an unwritten rule. Listen, we're not going to have you come visit campus till we see your application. And then once we see your application and we reviewed some academics and we view that you could be a good fit for our campus, we'll bring it to the campus and spend time with you. One of the things that we'll talk about the most is that, we want good people. We start with the people side of a student athlete. What kind of person are you? What do your teammates say about you? What do your coaches say about you? Do you possess the qualities that we're looking for? Meaning, are you a hard worker? Are you someone that's respectful? Are you a good listener? Are you coachable? Those are some questions that we'll ask ourselves about the person side of the student athlete. And then we'll go to the next question is we'll ask ourselves, okay, what kind of student are you? Are you sincerely interested in taking advantage of the academic opportunities that Cortland is going to provide for you? We don't want you coming to Cortland just to play basketball. We want you coming to Cortland because, number one, you're going to like the institution, you're going to feel comfortable there, and you're going to have an opportunity to take advantage of its academic, opportunities. And then the third question we'll ask ourselves, okay, is what kind of skill set do you have? What kind of player are you? Do you fit in with what we do, or do we anticipate you fitting into what we do? And then we move on from there.
Mm-hmm. Anything, Coach, you talked about bringing in quality individuals, and that is something that is a recurring kind of phrase throughout the shows that I've been doing and the other coaches I've spoken to. I think that the message for young men and their families is how important all these intangibles are when we're making our decisions as coaches to invest in a young man being part of our program, because of the amount of time that we spend together. It's not just games. It's 6 days a week of practice. It's road trips, and having quality individuals throughout, from top to bottom in your 4 years, makes the experience great for us as coaches, selfishly, but it's part of it. And I always felt that I needed that positivity around me. The more I had of that, the better I was at being, a good coach for my kids. But it also, it feeds off each other. All the kids, they get that positive energy from each other. And, sometimes I think the kids forget about we're looking beyond just the skills that they're exhibiting on the court, the game, because we're watching, well, what are they doing when they get taken out of the game? Are they going to the end of the bench and just staying by themselves? Or are they coming over to coach, sitting next to coach, listening, being invested, being positive? I know those are the things that we look at, and I'm sure you do too, that certainly take a lot of time as regards to, speaking to not only coaches, but guidance counselors, teachers, athletic director, AAU coaches, to get a real good picture of who this young man is.
Without question, those are very, very important. And, one thing that I'll always mention is that if you're going to play college basketball, and I mentioned that Division III is by far the most competitive level to play at, and people will look, like you said, shake their head or scratch their head. Scholarship basketball, you're getting a scholarship. You're a scholarship player in the Division I and II level. Division III is a level where, because of the most numbers of players are trying to play at the Division III level, that's where it's the most competitive. So there's a lot of good players that are out there and maybe could help our program, but they might not be the kind of person that we want in our program. So because it's so competitive, we have to, and we try to go to deeper levels of evaluation and really get at evaluating those intangible things that many times are going to separate a player from having a career or not having a career. And so it gets pretty comprehensive and it gets exhausting. But one thing, and I'm sure from being a veteran coach, that there's certain things that or certain characteristics that you probably found that, listen, if this person can't do this, he's never going to make it, no matter how good of a player he is. And that's, being able to be a hard worker, being able to be coachable, being able to sacrifice for their teammates and the program. And those aren't talent-based. As you know. Those are more character traits. And that's one thing, as I've been in the profession longer, the character traits sometimes maybe are equally, if not more important in determining the success of a player in our program.
Yeah. So Coach, as you go through and your kids then become students and you're going through now so many seasons, I'm interested to get your kind of take on how you as a coach and as a basketball staff are able to assist your players during the season with the responsibilities that they have in the classroom and balancing that with their basketball schedules.
Well, we try to make sure that we get a hold of everyone's schedule, that first week of classes. So we want to make sure that they're academically scheduled with classes that we feel that they can handle at the respective time of their academic career. It's like a basketball schedule. If you're set up for success, you'll be successful. If you're set up for failure, you're going to fail. So the initial scheduling is one of the most important parts of that process. And then from there, it becomes a weekly monitoring of time management for especially freshmen or new players, transfers to the campus life. We do mandatory study halls. Our assistant coaches and myself are meeting with our student athletes on a weekly basis with calendars, planners. You have 2 tests on Friday. What are you doing? Show me the hours that you're putting in this week to get prepared for those tests. You have a paper due Friday. Well, have you had it proofread? Well, let's make sure you have it done Wednesday so you can get it up to our writing center and get it cleaned up. So that's a week to week, day to day, weekly planner, time management part of the process. And then there's just some damage control side of it. When we get halfway through the semester and we're getting some mid-semester feedback on student performance, we maybe have to have a student drop a class, draw from it so that they can focus on their remaining credits so that they can be successful. So it's a work in progress. every semester, or at least in that fall semester. Then when we get to the second semester, we can take a look at each student athlete, and we know which guys need continued supervision. And then we know which guys, hey, you got this figured out, man. Just keep it going. You're doing a great job.
Gotcha. Yeah. Coach, this year certainly our postseason is so atypical. So you've been through so many postseasons. What is a typical after season like as regards to what your players are doing, and then also what your coach is doing in a typical off season?
Once we finish, we always, I usually wait at least 2 to 3 weeks before we'll have our end of season meeting. The emotions and the investment of energy that the players put in, they need time to get away and debrief from the season. And then what we'll do is we'll meet, we'll try to bring some closure to, what went on and what were the good things, what were the bad things. That's done through individual meetings. We'll sit down individually with each player, talk about some things that were really exciting, talk about some things that we want to focus on moving forward. I try to take a lot of feedback from the players. I try to ask them, hey, what drills in practice did you like? Why did you like them? What drills in practice didn't you like? What can the coaches do more of to help you as a student and as a player? What didn't we do enough of? So we're real open and honest with the players. We want their feedback. And then we're fortunate here at Cortland. We have and this is where something that has changed over the years is that, there are certified strength and conditioning coaches that are available to the student athletes. We can't work directly with our student athletes, but they have times that they can get into those weight rooms with those department-wide strength and conditioning sessions. So we try to get them and promote that, hey, you always got to be taking care of becoming a bigger, stronger, faster student athlete. This is the time that you got to start building toward that next year. So, we're promoting that. And then, we'll just keep them moving forward. And one thing that we've done is we've tried to really put some ownership. We pick spring captains. Once our season ends, our captains are typically seniors. So they're no longer involved in these off-season activities. So what we've done, and this came from the players' suggestion one year, and they were like, Coach, it would be good if we had spring captains. And I said, you know what, that's a great idea. So we picked spring captains, and this allows that torch to be handed to maybe the next set of guys that might be captains next year. In the fall, I don't designate captains. I wait until our team is selected because we have new players that come into the program. I want their feedback on who they view as the leaders of the program. They're like an outside group coming in to a culture, and their perspective of who the real leaders are might be different than those that have been in that culture. So I wait for that to happen in the fall. So once again, we try to promote all of our players stepping up and being leaders. And but so in the spring we have the captains, and it allows another group of guys to step forward and take the reins, so to speak. And then once again they're sent home with comprehensive strength and conditioning workouts from our strength and conditioning coaches for the 10 weeks that they're home in the summer.
Gotcha. That's great. Coach, this is a question that is, I think, in your case, talking back on your 25 years, I've been asking coaches if they can pick out a season. In some cases, coaches wanted to pick out 2, which is fine. But through your many seasons, Coach, what season might stand out, for you as maybe more special or more unique? Can you speak to us about one of the seasons?
There obviously I would be doing a disservice to any player in our program if I were preferential to one season over the other. But there are some that, you've had more success in the win column that are always seem to be more memorable. But one thing I will say is I've cherished every season with every team that I've coached. And I think there's special memories with each of the seasons. Obviously, if you step back and you say, oh, well, and I get this from the players will ask me all the time, Coach, which was the best team you coached? Which team, would have won against all the other teams? And I always defer. And I would say, well, we play a little bit differently. You might not have been able to do this with this team. And so I defer that question, or I dodge that question. And I don't want to dodge this one either. But every season, to be honest with you, for me, carries special moments, special memories. And I'm sure as a coach, you never probably gauged your success just solely on, hey, how far did we win or go into the NCAA tournament? And
yes, absolutely, Coach. Totally agree.
And that's one of the things that I've chosen not to do. And I guess when we get to the point in our careers, like you were as a longtime coach, we can do that because we've had success and you've had success. So,
well, what, Coach? I'm going to switch gears on you a little bit because the thing about the show is that we're facilitating dialogue, which we're having great dialogue here, Coach. So I'm gonna switch this up, Coach, and I think I'm gonna ask you to recount this, and you'll know where I'm going in a second. But the other thing, Coach, as you know, as we put in so many years like we have, instead of talking about seasons, there are so many different games that we could refer to over the years that have been remarkable, either on the plus side, the negative side, but just kind of things that happen in basketball that nobody can, believe. The longer you're in the game, the more stuff that you're a part of, right? So, Coach, I'm going to ask you from your perspective, because I've told this story a few times, about our game at the Kohl Center the last time I played. Because I actually just, I'm going to let you tell it, Coach, but I ran into one of your former players on Long Island, of course, where you have so much success. I don't know if you've seen him since, but I forgot what he was doing. He was with a company, and I was doing I do some team training for the Lightning. So he was there doing a presentation, and after I was introduced, and I spoke to the coaches as well, him and I got to talking afterwards. I can't remember his name now. Nice young man, but he was on that team. So we were having a lot of fun kind of recounting that game.
That might have been, I think, was it Jesse Winter?
Yes. Jesse
Winter. Actually, he ended up finishing up his career as the all-time leading scorer. And never averaged more than, I think, 11 points a game, but he was a career
every
guy.
Year. Yeah.
Every year. 10, 12 points a game. Great player. What a worker. And my joke to him was always, I'm like, man, I don't know how you never passed the look test. And I used to joke with him about the look test because he was a little scrawny, but he was a very tough-minded. And there, once again, those intangible characteristics that make someone successful, he had them. And he's the epitome of what we look for. But to get back to that game, I can remember we were putting it on NYU, and they were struggling. I think we were up. It might have been 15-20, and then all of a sudden, turn out the lights. and I tell people, I said, well, that's what happens when you beat the host team of their tournament. They're going to go to extreme measures to do what they got to do to stop the rally.
Unbelievable. I mean, you talk about timing, Coach. And Coach, I could still remember, like, there we are, like, it's like half dark in there. And again, it was during the day, but it's like half dark. But we're waiting, and I could still remember seeing you look at me and goes, Coach, we could just play. Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, wouldn't you like to do that?
Yeah. Well, I think that's what you say when you're up like 15 at the time.
Oh man. I mean, you just can't make stuff like that up. But Coach, I've found personally, like, stories like this, that stay with you, and then you're socializing with people in basketball, and it's like I said, when I ran into Jesse, it was just great conversation, and looking back on things, and hey, look, I've been part of other games where I was on the other side of it, and it's still just as much fun to kind of talk about and recount, as part of our overall experiences in basketball, right?
Yeah, those are interesting times, and that's something that the one thing that we try to have a philosophy with our players, like we always talk about, hey, let's only focus on what we can control. And
right.
That would be a situation that we would talk about that, hey, listen, guys, if they turn the lights out on us, we don't control that, but we just can only control how we react to the lights going out. And yeah.
So that happened. So I will tell you, that happened once in all my years. It's the only time that happened. One other time, probably maybe a year later, or I think maybe a year after, we were playing a league game against Case Western on a Sunday, and the fire alarm went off. So we all had now it was kind of more like, it wasn't like our game where we were literally getting dismantled. And, I got on the radio and told the electrician, do something, please. No. But those are the only two times in all the years we've been fortunate where we had to stop the game.
Yeah, that was a Sunday afternoon. I remember clearly.
Was that tournament? Was it
that was the Sunday. It was the Sunday game of the tournament. Yeah,
so
we both. Yeah, it was the final. We had both won on Saturday. Yep, it was the final, and it was all good. We ended up. It went down. Remember, the game went into the last two possessions.
Yep.
And you guys did a great job getting back on us, and yeah, it was a great game.
Yeah, Coach. This has been a tremendous amount of information that I think is going to be very valuable to the young men and their families that are going to take a look at it. I only hope that things kind of continue to go in the right direction, and that we're all back to basketball here in the near future. But Coach, I can't thank you enough for the time that you gave us today, and I look forward to having an opportunity to do this with you in the future, face to face.
Well, great, Coach. And I appreciate you taking the time and effort to spend time with an upstate Division III coach. Yeah. And I wish you the best down there. I know the city's a little bit more challenging than what we're dealing with in our area as far as the virus and all of the other things that are going on now. So I wish you the best. Stay safe, and thanks.
Okay. All the best, Coach. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.